So now I'm sort of happy it selects gears. The next thing is to strip this cover back off again, put it on the stand, and then we're going to fit the oil pump drive, the seal, and the gasket, and that should be it. Now, one thing I wanted to know, I just took the cover off. You remember I said yesterday that I put this pin in here, just sort of loose. Well, this is how loose it was. It wasn't even doing anything. So I think that's why I had a bit of a struggle trying to get it out. But the reason I didn't want to knock it all the way through was I didn't want to drop it in the bottom of the box, which is quite easy to do. So let me take that out. Let's get it on the stand, and we'll show you how to put the oil pump drive on. I thought we'd have a look at this housing here. This has already been through the ultrasonic cleaner, so it's quite clean, but I didn't strip it down completely, and I left the oil pump on. And the oil pump sucks oil up from here, goes through the pump, and I don't know if you can see in here, maybe not, maybe, I don't know, but in here there is a passage for oil to go through the shaft. Very important. Now again, this isn't included in the kit, but this one seems quite good. It's not damaged in any way, so we're going to keep that one. We're not going to touch it, because as soon as you knock those out you'll break it. So with that nice and clean, we're going to have a look at the oil pump, because it might need an extra cleaning. We don't know. I really don't know. I haven't taken it off yet. Oh, one thing to notice, I just noticed it myself here. You see this little raised piece here? Well, that's to stop the reverse shaft from dropping out of your gearbox. This shaft here, we can see it. This reverse shaft. When I assemble it, I should put a plate underneath here to stop it dropping out. And I've noticed some people have put punch marks around there. But before we start to assemble this properly, we'll put a little plate across. I'm sure I've got one in my kit, because like I say, you can't fit this piece on first. So less of the rambling, let's get this out. There we go. These are they've got British Leyland stamps all over them, if you've noticed. Now this might be a bit tricky to get out, because it's on dowels. That's a bit tight. But when I got this gearbox it was kind of dirty inside, so yeah, I thought so. Now how am I going to get that off? Ooh, I don't know. Wait a minute. There's a little boss on there. I might be able to get that crowfoot in and pull it up. There we go. That's off. Just be careful, you don't want to damage that casting. Yeah, look how the ultrasonic cleaner's cleaned all that lot out. Isn't that amazing, eh? It's got all the dirt out of there. There's just a little bit of residual oil, but it's very clean. See? There you go, that's what you want. In fact, it's so clean, I was thinking about putting it through the washer again, and I'm not going to bother. We'll take that piece out, and this is the Tufnell gear that I was talking about, and you can see it's like a fibrous material, but they're prone to breaking, and once that goes you'll have no oil pressure. That'll spoil your day. Yeah, very, very clean lady. We'll give it a blast out just in case. Get it all. There we go. Through there. Now we'll let that dry off a bit, and then we'll assemble our piece. Use an awful lot of brake clean here. There we go. There's our gear. So we're going to prime this with some Vaseline. Vaseline's really good to do pumps, you know, and it makes a nice surface. Well, it'll seal up the pump a little bit to encourage a good prime. Not just a good time, but a good prime. And again, you can see they've got a little notched out square here for the drive, and that's really important not to forget the drive gear either. It has been known. Now, this goes, I was looking at the camera, I put it in the wrong way around. This has got a little dimple on, so it'll only go in one way because it rides in a dimple inside here. I should more look at the job rather than the camera. Right, so now we can pop that on, line up the dowels, push it down, and then snug up the bolts. You don't have to be monster tight. And that is that. So that's the way the seal goes. If you notice inside, these are good quality seals. They're already pre-greased, so we don't have to worry about that. Put the seal on. Nice piece of plate. That's all it's going to get. Nice and flush. Piece of flat plate, you can find that anywhere. Right, so what's next? Well, in the last video you probably saw that I kept calling this reverse. What a knob. It's actually the fifth, because you see, on the, like I said, I do more 300 TDIs than these, and on the 300 TDI this is the reverse and fifth. Alright, so that's what threw me. Anyway, well, I won't make that mistake again, honest. What we're going to do is oil it all up. Make sure everything's nice and oiled. I'm going to put some oil into the shaft just to make sure. Around here, on these pivots, anything to give it a flying start, if you see what I mean. As I said to you before, you can't put enough oil on. Alright, so that's that done. The next thing, we'll prepare the gasket to go on, which is here. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of high-low sill on there just to be sure, so I'll come back when that's done. Right, I've got the gasket ready to go, and I've also prepped up by putting the pin in here first, but sort of so it's just under flush, if you see what I mean, so you're not trying to hold this pin and try and tap it in at the same time when it's in this little enclosure here, because it's quite difficult. So if you give it a head start, it'll be okay. Now, important thing, this is the little square drive that drives the oil pump here. Alright, now if you're observant, you will see that I round off the corners on the bit that's going to go in here, like that. The reason why is, look, if you're trying to line that square up, it can be quite difficult, but if you just got a bit of a leading edge, it drops straight in. So what I do is I try and line that up so it's square on the axis and the same on the gearbox, and then all you've got to do is move the shaft around a little bit and it'll go in. So I fit this piece. I think it's there, you can probably see it better there. See, I just rounded it off a little bit on the grindstone. This bit's square, it doesn't matter, and then that can go in the lay shaft like this, and then you see you'll be able to turn that shaft and turn the little gear as it goes in, hopefully. So we'll put this on. That's a final check. We've done our oiling, and then we'll put this on. Now this can be a bit of a fiddle. You don't have to worry about gaskets and oil seals because it's nice and safe, you know. Right, wait a minute. Oh dear. Right, don't forget to put the selector on. Drop it down. Oh, first time. Oh, that's good when it goes like that. That's why I'm saying that just that little lead on that square will save you an awful lot of frustration. Most frustrating. And now we're going to put the bolts in, and we're going to tighten them down in a crisscross even pattern according to the torque in the book, which I don't have because it's still at JP's shop. And I'll have them find it online. But anyway, torque all these bolts down crisscross and even. Now, with that done, we've got a little O-ring oil seal on the LT77s which wasn't on the R380s, and we're just going to slip it on. Now there is a groove already in there. We put it in the second groove on the inside. It might have been a smart idea to put it in first, but it doesn't really matter, because now we're going to fit this collar, and this collar is a bugger. They are tight. That's why we need this tool here. Now, this tool here is a really handy thing. It's got a thread on the inside that goes on the thread of the shaft. Thus, I've been playing around with it for something else, and now we have to alter it. These tools are quite expensive. They're not too bad to make. All it is, when I screw this down a bit, I'll show you. Before I screw it on, I'll put some oil on that as well. There we go. So maybe see, maybe not. Inside there's a thread, and it's on it's allowed to turn. It's not fixed to this shaft, if you see what I mean. So before we put it on, we're going to lube up the inside of this bush. We know there's already oil, grease or whatever it is on the inside of there, and we need a 15/16 socket, which I don't have. I'll go and get one. So with the tool in place, it's screwed down. I said we needed a 15/16 socket. No, we don't. I'm telling lies again. That was for taking it off. We use our Land Rover jack handle, and then we tighten this down progressively. Now this does take some time, and it can be tight. In the old days I used to warm these up a bit, you know, just put them in some hot water, but well, we'll do it. But the tool that they give here with the handle on is never long enough, so I just put a bit of an extension on it, and it seems to work fine. I might as well leave this running a bit, and then I'll edit it off. You know, I lent my spanner out to somebody and they bloody broke it. I was really annoyed about that. I've had this spanner since I was an apprentice, and I put a great big scaffolding pole on the end of it and broke it. You can see how slow it is. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a bigger spanner, because if you look down here, wait a minute. Look at my spanner. You see how they'd snapped it just here in this corner. Let me find something a bit better. So how far do you tighten the collar down? Till you can't tighten it anymore. The reason for that is that it comes against the shoulder inside the box. It comes against the shoulder, and you don't want that to, you want the seal to be on the collar. You don't want it to go inside, and neither do you want the groove to go inside, because what will happen then is, if you need to take this off again, you won't be able to get the collar off. So let's take our tool off and do some other little jobs.